explore through the highways, and on we'll go.
Hello everyone and welcome to this video. So today I'll talk about some spoilers of things that we're going to get in SSO in the future. I've already made a video about this topic a few days ago, but this video is going to be much more in depth. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, make sure to subscribe, it really means a lot. And now let's get into it. So all of this information is from a live stream done on Ebba Deerwin and Jess Northwood's YouTube channels, where they basically interviewed Stacy, who is the game director at Star Stable Online, and they basically talk about the workings of SSO, their many controversies, and of course the upcoming things that they're planning on adding to the game. There's a really wide range of topics that they talked about, and a lot of like sneak peeks, spoilers, whatever you'd want to call them, and I just thought that I would make a few more in-depth videos about all of those topics, because having them all in one video would probably make that video over half an hour long, because I do want to share some of my opinions and of course all of the information from the actual live stream. So in this video I'll focus on the horse bonding, which was something that they talked about for quite a while, and I just find it really interesting. And I'll also talk a bit about breeding, which was a smaller topic at the end of the live streams. First, they talked about how the idea of horse bonding came to be. It's been in the development for a really long time, and horse bonding is currently a very hot topic at Star Stable. Stacy's saying that they're currently having meetings and talking about when horse bonding is going to be added, and they're hoping to have it out before the Equestrian Festival, which happens around April. So they're looking at releasing it in the first quarter of 2023. Some of the things that will be included in horse bonding are calling your horse and having your horse follow you. Those things have been in the works, or at least talked about for a long time, and it's something that they've always wanted to do, but haven't added yet because of the capacity and priority, and not knowing how to get it done in time. Stacy has created game pillars from the directions standpoint, and those are the areas of focus of the game, and those pillars are horse bonding, player and community, and the last one is the story. Those are the big areas that make up Star Stable, and they have to make sure that they are feeding into all of these pillars, because that's what makes them who they are. The horse bonding pillar is a big one. Stacy says that bonding wasn't enough in focus, and she personally pushed for it a lot, since she thinks that we need more things that we can do with the horses, as they're the most important thing that Star Stable has to offer. While talking about horse bonding, the conversation led to age and gender of the horse, which is something that they have implemented into the game early this year. And another thing that I've implemented that is under this horse bonding umbrella is the new purchasing window. Then they started talking about the experience of leveling up your horse, what it is today and what they want it to be in the future. Again, bonding is something that they started talking about earlier this year, or at the end of last year. They've broken it down into pieces, and the next piece that we're going to get is horse progression, which are different ways of leveling your horse and unlocking new features. Going forward, they want to focus on personalities for the horse and a prestige system as well. For personalities, you could, for example, have a lazy horse that you'd have to keep clicking the W key to keep it moving forward. You'll also be able to pick personalities yourself, similar to picking gender or age of your horse. Here they kind of go back to the reason why they removed the cold intolerance in horses, and the reason Stacy gives is that they didn't want to punish the breeds and make them slower. So again, you'll have to actually interact with the horse now, making it move when it doesn't really want to, and making it slow down when the horse is very energetic. They've also changed the leveling system, and now you'll unlock different things through different levels. You'll earn XP in different ways, and there's also a passive way to gain XP. So you won't just gain XP through racing, but in a lot of different ways. For example, there's gonna be a pop-up that will say your horse is having a great time and you've earned some XP, and similar things to that. They've made the whole process of passive XP very holistic, which means that things like health and mood of your horse will be very important in gaining this passive XP. They'll first do an ambassador test with the bonding, but the horse progression is coming early next year, and they'll do discovery for the next parts, which won't be added in 2023. So things that we can expect are unlocking new features while leveling your horse, like new gaits, leading your horse, calling your horse, and having it follow you. The horses will also have their own personalities, and you'll be able to train multiple horses at the same race. And there's also going to be a prestige system, but what is actually coming to SSO is just the new leveling system and potentially horse personalities. So I'm actually very excited about this one. Well, obviously because this is the very first topic that I wanted to talk about, but I think it is very important in making Star Stable feel more alive. You know, you'll actually have to interact with your horse. I really like the fact that your horse will be able to have a personality, and I actually like that they're going to add different ways of training, because I used to train a lot, but now I just find it so boring. I've done all of the races so many times, and I just do not want to run in circles for hours and hours on end just to, you know, level up a horse. So I think especially the passive way of gaining horse XP is really nice, though I do feel like it's gonna be kind of another way of Star Stable wanting you to spend star coins, since Stacy mentioned that, you know, health and things like that will be very important in gaining that passive XP. So people who don't feed their horses will either have to, you know, actually do that or buy stable care, which I don't really like. But things like, you know, calling your horse and having your horse follow you, I think will be amazing. I can only imagine what the Star Stable role-playing community will do with all of those features. I think it will help them immensely. And it's also kind of surprising that they're planning on releasing it, you know, before April, because the Equestrian Festival is like very early April, I think like the first or second week. So I don't know, but I wouldn't have my hopes up like too much, because Star Stable often says that they're going to release something at a certain time and then they just go back on their word. And with how things are, you know, being talked about, I'm not completely sure that they're going to manage that, if I'm completely honest, unless they actually work on it a lot, because they give themselves a lot of time to do all of these projects, but I don't really think that they should do that, especially with so many other horse games being on the rise. But I think horse bonding is a really important thing for them to, you know, stay relevant, because yes, now they are like the leading and the only horse game on the market, but in 5-10 years that could very well change if they don't like add these very important aspects into the game. So I think this is a very good step forward, though I'm still not the most hopeful, even though it sounds amazing, but I'm going to believe it once I see it. Because another thing that SSO really likes to do is they describe these amazing ideas. You're going to be able to do all of this and that, and then it's just, you know, boring, basic, whatever. So yeah, what do you think about bonding? Let me know down below in the comments. And now let's get onto the breeding. Breeding was briefly mentioned at the end of the second video or live stream. While exchanging goodbyes, Stacy mentioned that they are looking into addressing dressage and breeding, and those two things will be included in Stacy's blog. She said that breeding is a huge thing for her, and they're currently working on a shader that will allow the coats to look a certain way. Sadly, this will not be added next year, but is something that's in the works. So it seems like we're finally getting some dressage, which is very exciting, as those races will be something new, and I'm sure more people will be interested in them compared to the old races, and I really wonder what they're gonna look like, But of course, reading is another very excited topic that they mentioned, but since it was so brief, it's probably like very, very, very early in the process. Though if it is ever added, it's probably gonna be extremely expensive. And also, thinking about it now, I don't completely get why they're working on so many projects. Like, I get it, but this is Star Stable we're talking about. They should just focus on, you know, the updated character, because with how they're doing all of this, nothing substantial will be added in like the next year, and then all of it will come out a few years later, and I'm just wondering if it's gonna be too late for them at that point. I mean, obviously they have a huge audience and all of that, but I feel like they really, like Stacy talked about this, but I feel like they should really focus on a few topics, because if you watched my, you know, first video about this, they're talking about, you know, the wardrobe and inventory update, more tag, championship update, like home stable customization, new tag, all of those things. And I feel like they should really just be like, okay, like now we're just going to focus on updated characters, I don't know, horse bonding, and let's say new tag, because that's something that's gonna make them money. I don't get why they're so, like, they're spread out very thin. And if I'm completely honest, I don't know if that's something that I would recommend, though obviously I have no experience in this, but I just don't think this is the best idea, especially with their track record of, you know, announcing things, like even publicly. Like they've said, okay, the updated characters 100% 2021, and then the same thing for 2022, and then the same thing for 2023. So I just don't know. But anyway, let me know what you think about all of these things in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye!